April 7, 1945. High above the East China Sea, American pilots spotted something the largest battleship ever built was sailing alone toward its final mission. This was IJN Yamato, the pride of the Imperial Japanese Navy. At more than 72,000 tons, she was the largest and most heavily armed battleship ever built. Her 9 gigantic 18.1-inch guns were unlike anything the world had ever seen. Each shell weighed nearly as much as a small car and could strike targets over 26 miles away. But Yamato's greatest strength wasn't just her massive guns. Hidden beneath her steel hull was armor so thick that many believed no battleship in the world could destroy her. To the people of Japan, Yamato was far more than a warship. She had become a powerful national symbol. Many believed that as long as Yamato remained afloat. In 1945, however, the war had changed completely. Japan's powerful navy had been shattered, its air force running out of pilots, and American forces were closing in on Okinawa. In a final act of desperation, Japan approved one last mission. It was called Operation Tengo, a mission from which Yamato was never expected to return. The mission was almost impossible. Yamato received fuel for only a one-way voyage. She was ordered to reach Okinawa, fight until every shell was fired, and never return home. The greatest danger wasn't waiting at Okinawa. Hundreds of miles away, American reconnaissance had already detected Yamato's movement. The hunt had begun. Within minutes, the reconnaissance report reached the American fleet. Instead of sending battleships into a risky duel, the U.S. Navy prepared its most powerful weapon, the aircraft carrier. Moments later, the order was given. One after another, American aircraft roared down the flight deck. Within minutes, hundreds of climbing into the sky, heading toward a single target, Yamato. More than 380 aircraft now filled the sky. Fighters flew ahead to secure the airspace, while dive bombers and torpedo bombers closed in on the largest battleship ever built. At 12:30 p.m., the attack began. American pilots descended from the clouds in carefully coordinated waves, while the giant battleship prepared to defend herself. Within seconds, Yamato erupted with defensive fire. Sky, hoping to stop the incoming American aircraft before they reached attack range. The American pilots knew Yamato's armor was almost impossible to penetrate from above. Their real objective lay beneath the waterline, where even the strongest battleship was vulnerable. At the perfect distance, the attack leader gave the signal. One after another, the torpedoes slipped into the sea. Every pilot had received the same order: strike only the port side of Yamato. A massive column of seawater erupted into the air, and for the first time, the world's greatest battleship had been wounded. The first hit was only the beginning. American commanders had issued one critical order: every torpedo must strike the port side. They weren't trying to punch through Yamato's armor, they were trying to make the giant lose its balance. The second attack wave struck exactly where American planners intended. More torpedoes slammed into the already damaged port side of battleship. Yamato was beginning to lose her balance. The American attack was no longer random. Every new torpedo struck the same side of the ship. The objective wasn't simply to sink Yamato, it was to make the giant roll over under its own weight. Now the trap was complete. Yamato's captain realized every torpedo was striking only the port side. If the flooding continued, the battleship would eventually roll over. There was only one desperate option left. The order was given immediately. Counterflood the starboard side. Thousands of tons of seawater were deliberately pumped into the opposite side. It was a decision that came at a terrible cost. Counterflooding saved Yamato from rolling over, but only for a short time. Hundreds of engineers have escaped. At the same moment, the battleship's speed began to collapse. A fresh wave of dive bombers rolled into, while another squadron of torpedo bombers closed in for the final coordinated strike. With Yamato's speed collapsing, the American commanders knew could no longer outrun the attack, while another squadron of torpedo bombers closed in for the final coordinated strike. Seconds later, the first Helldiver released its bomb. It crashed through Yamato's upper deck. At the same time, more torpedoes raced toward the already shattered port side. The next torpedo wave arrived exactly as planned. Once again, every pilot ignored Yamato's starboard side, remained the already shattered port side, pushing the battleship closer to the point of no return. Now the damage became impossible to control. Water rushed through the shattered hull faster than the pumps could remove it. Yamato's list grew steeper with every passing second, and her fate was becoming inevitable. By now, Yamato had absorbed 7 torpedoes and multiple bomb hits. Her engines were failing, no longer fighting the enemy. She was fighting the sea itself. At approximately 2 p.m., Yamato was beyond saving. Power was failing throughout the ship. The giant battleship now leaned so heavily that every passing minute brought her closer to the inevitable. Then, it happened. In a single instant, the largest battleship ever built disappeared. At 2:23 p.m., the end finally arrived. Yamato rolled uncontrollably onto her port side. Thousands of tons of ammunition shifted. The explosion was so immense. A mushroom cloud near 4 miles high rose above the East China Sea. The shockwave spread for miles. Even American aircraft flying nearby were violently shaken. When the smoke finally began to clear, nothing remained of the mighty Yamato, except burning wreck-Imperial Japanese Navy had vanished beneath the Pacific forever. The U.S. Navy had paid a remarkably small price for one of history's greatest naval victories. Only 10 American could survive against overwhelming based air power. But on April 7, 1945, that belief sank with the largest battleship ever built. The aircraft carrier became the undisputed king of the sea. Yamato now rests nearly 340 meters beneath the East China Sea. She remains one of history's most powerful symbols of engineering, courage. The era of the battleship had ended. No matter how powerful a weapon becomes, history always belongs to those who adapt. Silently reminding the world that technology alone can never guarantee victory. Strategy, adaptation, and innovation always shape future.